Welcome back to another Weapons Wednesday, and today we have the FLUX Raider that we'll be going over. Before we get too far into this, I want to thank Rain City Tactical for being a huge sponsor of this channel. If you guys are in the Kent area of Washington, please head over to Rain City Shooting Center and check them out. Check out the indoor range they have. They've got classes, they've got a full gun shop, they have tactical gear, they have armor, they sell custom holsters. Yeah, great stuff. So with that said, let's dive into this thing. I absolutely love these chassis builds. I think of all the chassis builds that are out there, these are probably some of the coolest. I know that they're hard to come by, and FLUX doesn't put enough of them out. It's like the only thing I can negatively say about FLUX is you guys just don't make enough of these things. They're so cool. So with that said, let's kind of dive into this one. So we'll just make sure she's clear. So starting at the front. So the lower portion that you see here up to the red dot, or up to the RMR up there, is the chassis that it comes with, right? And then all you have to do is inset your P320 fire control group and obviously your slide and everything that goes internal to that on the top of it, right? Super simple, super easy to put together. Yeah, with that said, one of the coolest things about this is that this brace is spring loaded. So you'll notice this lever right here. All you have to do is pull this down and it releases your brace, which is pretty rad, right? So now you have a full length brace, and you know it's also can be broken down just by pulling this back down and sliding it back in, which is super cool. And it makes it super compact. You can carry this, you know, just about anywhere. If it's in just about any most bags. Awesome stuff. Now I went ahead and added some things to this, as you can tell. This is the silencer co-threaded barrel. This is the tactical development F10 charging handle. Now they make two different ones. They have the F10 and then they have the ripstick. Right on this one I have obviously the F10. On the back side of it, it has a small dot, so you can still use your sights if you were to have the open back FLUX Raider. So there's a couple different versions of the FLUX Raider. This one does not have the open back. This is the closed back. But if you were to have the open back, you could potentially look through this and still see that dot if your optic were to fail, let's say. On the opposite side, we'll get to that in a second. On the opposite side, we have the basically like a gas pedal, which is pretty nice. It's a cool, and it's a nice place to rest your thumb, keep your thumb down on it, and it makes the gun really comfortable, or the chassis really comfortable. A lot of people have talked about the O-Lite series. I put an O-Lite on here, and the reason why I actually went with the O-Lite on the FLUX Raider is because when you're gripping this up here like this, your hand just naturally rests really close to where those buttons are on the O-Lite, and with the X300 or whatever, you're having to like flip that switch down, and it's a lot harder to do and a lot harder to get to. And this just was way easier to control off and on with that button than it was for me to flip a switch. So and it fits really tight up against this extra mag wall right here. So that's why I went with the O-Lite. So one of the other really cool things about this system is they've got basically three different ways. Well, basically three different ways to release magazines. So as you saw before, it had a magazine in the actual grip, and then it has this extra mag, place an extra mag in front, right? So I would also say this is mostly built for right-handed use. I'm just throwing it out there. If you shoot with your left hand, it's going to be a lot more difficult to use some of these controls. But yeah, so you have this mag release right here, which releases this magazine, right? You also have another mag release on the opposite side, right here. You push this up. See that right there? Push that up, and now also release the magazine. And then you have what I think is probably one of the coolest things about this chassis is you have another button on the back side right here. And so when you push this mag release, you can push it in a little bit and you can release this magazine, or if you needed to do like that speed reload, you can push it in all the way and it will drop the other magazine for you so you can reload even faster, which I think was just a super cool idea for them to add. Yeah, like that's probably, again, one of the coolest things about this gun, this chassis. Also on the back side, on this side, you have a QD mount. So for if you want to run a sling on it, then you do have a QD mount in the back. Yeah, that's pretty much all of it. Now, one thing I will say about this chassis, and I think that it's maybe the only other thing that I kind of have a qualm with, is with the brace all the way in, right? It is nearly, I mean, it is impossible for me to reach up and hit the slide release, right? So I can't actually manipulate all the functions of the gun, and all the chassis. It also does come with a safety, which is in addition to having your P320, which is kind of nice, and it also is ambidextrous. You do have it on both sides, so another add-on. But yeah, so the slide release though, you can't really reach it, and even with it extended, I can still barely reach it. Now, if I rotate the gun, the chassis at all, then I can reach it. So when it's locked to the rear, I can reach it now. But otherwise, I can't just reload and hit the slide release. I have to manually move the slide back, and that's why I end up getting one of the tactical development charging handles, because without this, it is extremely annoying to try and manipulate the gun. Because without this, to get it to go forward, I'm having to like reach down here onto the slide, and because of this lever release for the brace and how far up the exterior of the lower end of the chassis comes up, it can just be really annoying to get your fingers just so on here, or even like this. I mean, you end up sometimes running your thumb into the lever and stuff. It's just a pain in the ass. So having the tactical development charging handle, whether it be the ripstick or the F10, this one, it's almost, to me, it's a must. To me, if you're gonna own a FLUX Raider, I highly recommend. I would say any chassis for that matter, but I highly recommend one of Tactical Development's charging handles. It makes it extremely easy. When it comes in, you can just put your hand on top and let it go. It's way easier. Now, I did have the ripstick, and I actually moved over to the F10, and I'll tell you why. Because, well, a few reasons. One, the ripstick, and it's personal preference, right? The ripstick is one side. If I wanted to go to the opposite side and then use the ripstick, I'm having to reach over a little bit. It's not a lot. It's just a minor difference. But you're having to reach over and come to the other side. Where this one, I can still reach it from this side because, well, from my left shoulder, because it's on the top. So it doesn't matter if I'm, how I'm using the weapon system. It's just an easier place to reach for. So yeah, with that said, that's pretty much all of it. They're extremely fun to shoot. I've put quite a few rounds through this one, and you can shoot this thing out like extremely accurately, at pretty good distances, out to 50 yards. It's a lot of fun, especially if you're looking for something PDW style or something small defense where you can carry tons of have a huge round count on you and have it something so easily accessible. Again, it's just a super cool build. If you guys have any questions, comments that you want to leave in the chat below, if you guys have any other questions about this build, please let me know. Maybe there's something I'm not thinking about, but that's pretty much it for this build. I hope you guys have an awesome Wednesday. I will see you guys for Frag Out Friday with some new gear. But yeah, if you guys don't own one of these, try to find one. You can go on gun broker right now, there are some people selling these chassis. Some of them are selling the chassis with no internals, no slide, no barrel or anything, and some are selling full on builds. Some with compensators. I think I saw one that actually came with a suppressor. Obviously, you'd have to do your tax stamp and all your forms and stuff, but definitely a cool build to own. I highly recommend having one, especially if you're looking for something to carry that's small and compact, but can still, like I said, give you that round count and keep everything nice and contained. You know what I mean? Like, this is just a really cool contained system. I guess the last thing is putting it back down. So you just pull this lever back down and just slide it back in. And then you got to give it a little bit of pressure because the back is spring loaded. So yeah, anyways, have an awesome day, guys. Cheers. I love you guys. Thank you for all of your love and support too as well. I just can't thank you guys enough. We've only been at this for a little over a month, and I think we're almost broken 100 subscribers. So yeah, I will see you guys for Frag Out Friday. As always, stay loose, battle on, and if you bitch in your heart, it'll show.